Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tax Day Trips and Traps, April 15th. I'm Andy Serling, joined by Donovan.
We have two races to bring you in the first segment, two races to bring you in the second segment. So let's get started with race number 6 from April 8th. We're going to take a look at a couple horses here on the turf. The 5, Lindsay's Buck, and the 9, Passcode to start. First turn, kind of key for both these horses.
Yeah, look, in fully recognizing, and we'll start right there with the 5, Lindsay's Buck, who you kind of see get sort of squeezed and breaks awkwardly back and falls well back in the field, and we'll pick him up as they get around the turn in this race. And then Passcode is the number 9. That's the horse going out to the lead on the outside, moving into second right now. Lindsay's Buck has left the screen, and there's, of course, Passcode up there. And Passcode took a lot of money here. It was the second choice behind the heavy favorite. It was the second choice behind the heavy favorite in this race, the eventual winner, Chromosphere, and really was basically a runoff. Lindsay's Buck finally reappears in the picture all the way back there, and has lost a lot of ground, but it was a very fast pace.
It was, but take a look at the ground lost there by Lindsay's Buck around the first turn, also at the start as well. And I think also we have to pay attention now to Passcode, who does get back toward the rail a little bit more as they straighten out on the backstretch, but then kind of runs off with the jock here and makes a very premature move down the backstretch.
Yeah, and this is an excruciating pace. They went 22-3 the first quarter. I mean, 48 for the flat for the half, but 22-3 for these kind of horses, and this course wasn't exactly firm at this point. Passcode's basically a runoff. The question you have to ask yourself as Passcode is there going to be a race this horse can win? He's sort of been a bad actor in some of his races. The saddle slipped one race, and that's obviously not necessarily his fault, but he really didn't have any chance the way this race was run. We get this field back together. I'd be interested in Lindsay's Buck, maybe with a rider change or a different situation.
Yeah, I think I might be interested in both horses here with a rider change, and we'll see, about Passcode. Did you think Passcode showed enough in this race to warrant, betting back next time out?
Well, there's Lindsay's Buck back in the field. I don't know. It depends. I would be willing to give this horse another chance. I don't want to continue following a horse that might not be any good. But on the other hand, this horse had no chance with this rapid pace and was just sent off on a mission that completely compromised its chances and still did finish 6th here. I could be interested in this horse. I could be interested in giving Lindsay's Buck another chance in a cheap maiden turf race, in the sense that thought Lindsay's Buck clearly ran better than been running on the dirt, finishing 4th right there. Did have the fast pace, but was kind of eliminated at the start and wide on both turns. Thought this horse showed a little bit of something.
I'd have to say that horse lost about 5 or 6 lengths in the early stages of the race there, and I think second time out, probably improved a little bit on the turf. Actually, probably improved a great deal on the turf over the dirt race first time out, and we'll see where he goes next time out. Trained by Dan Conway, who's got a string of horses up at Finger Lakes. We'll see if he decides to leave him down here for turf or take him back up north.
Yeah, maybe get one more chance by the end of the meet here. You obviously don't want to see a particularly strong field. We're not talking about killers here, but if they meet up in a similar race like this, both of these horses may have run better races than it looks on paper.
All right, we'll move on to the dirt on the next day, April 9th, race number 8. The starter allowance. This was kind of a day where we thought the rail was not the place to be, and we're looking at the 1 White Chiffon.
Yeah, it's not as though anything happens, and we'll roll the race, and you'll see that nothing actually happens or doesn't have any trouble per se. But we wanted to show a couple races, or one race at least, from Friday, because Friday was a classic balcony-type racetrack, like the old Belmont track, where the inside was not the place to be, and it seemed as though the wider you were, the better. And you'll see in this situation, I mean, even the second place finisher is back here. That horse is inside but angles out. Ideal House in the middle of the track, and the race sort of folds in accordion fashion. I thought the White Chiffon, a horse for Steve Ashman off a 6-furlong maiden win at Fairgrounds, actually held reasonably well, beaten about 5 lengths, racing on the inside the whole way.
Yeah, I didn't know how good she was coming into this race because she did win that race pretty convincingly down at the Fairgrounds, but it was only a 50 maiden claimer going 6. She had to go a mile here today, so a whole different ball game here, but you'll see what Andy's talking about. They just kind of, the inside layers just kind of like peel off in this race like an onion almost when they come down the stretch, and the horses making the move toward the outside are the ones that are going best at the end of the race.
Yeah, and you do wonder if White Chiffon might be better off cutting back a little bit in distance, but it's a situation, want to show this, you should look at all the races, all the dirt races we ran on Friday, April 9th, because you want to bet horses back that had inside trips that you feel were compromised, that have form going forward, but there will be some dirtied up horses. This was a bad day, and you see how the horses are all moving outside. White Chiffon, I thought, dug in fairly well, things considered. Might be too far for her, and racing right down on the rail. And it carried forth a little bit into Saturday's card. I think that had something to do with the problems that we saw in the stake race, the feature. But it wasn't as pronounced on Saturday, but I still don't think you wanted to be inside, and you definitely didn't want to be there on Friday.
Well, what do you do with the horse like Bahama Bound is finishing up nicely here, who was on the rail most of the way toward the inside, angled out at the top of the stretch? The fact that that horse sat on the rail most of the way, do you kind of even out his chances a little bit next time out, or the fact that he made the late move outside, does that kind of hurt him in his next start?
Yeah, I feel like ultimately it would hurt him moving forward, and also the nature of the dynamics of the race, just the way the race was run, and that these horses sort of folded at the end, and Bahama Bound had the absolute best of it. At least the winner, Ideal House, was pretty much on the pace, and this horse was sitting that nice tuck. So ultimately, these are horses, both the first two I don't want any part of in the future, but specifically Bahama Bound.
All right, that'll do it for our first segment. Keep in mind the email address, tripsandtraps@NYRAinc.com. We love to hear from all our fans, and we love to hear some ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. We can use all the help we can get. Thanks for watching.